So, but back to what Lauren was saying before.
Yes. Why?
I think maybe that they are trying to keep tabs on her because she saw that girl in the beginning, and so like she talks to the police and is like, I saw that girl leave here at 10 o'clock.
Oh, I see.
So already, like, from the get-go, she's already, like, on their radar as, like, someone that could
that makes more
reveal
sense.
their secrets.
I didn't think about that, but that makes more sense.
Okay, I feel like
Plus
maybe
she's American, so.
maybe you're like tying ends that weren't actually tied for the director, but I buy that.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, I don't have any problems really with like untied plot
True.
points.
So what?
Which
So I don't know. I don't know why this is what I go for movies. It seems obvious to me that the most essential part of the film. I mean, I guess if you like explosions and stuff like that, but isn't the story essential? Like, isn't that what am I missing? Why do you like these films? What about these films are you hunting for? Like, oh, that had a lot of kills, or oh, that had a lot of style, or what?
Yeah, it has to be the style, just because. Like, after I finished watching it, there's like a group of films that I like to watch over and over again, and I'll just like put them on while I'm doing other things, and it's like they aren't necessarily great solid stories, but they have like really awesome visuals.
What are these films?
Like
Run them down.
I mean, color wise, this film reminded me a lot of Mask of the Red Death with Vincent Price. There's a lot of like vivid Technicolor shots, and it kind of is used to amp up like a lusty, evil sort of vibe. Black Sunday is another one that I'll just constantly watch, even though there's not much of a story to that, but the shots in that film I just can watch forever and ever. So for me, it's just like, I don't know.
I mean, isn't it kind of whether it leaves you feeling a little wigged out at the end? Like, isn't that what most people are searching for?
That's weird that you say wigged out, because remembering back, I was I don't know what the right word is, but I felt like I was like down after this movie. Like I would say for the rest of the day, I kind of was just like bummed out.
Would you say you had a
Did you
sore
notice,
throat?
Sean, that your throat was sore?
No, so
We all just
Everyone-
John got a sore throat.
so we.
The devil.
If you didn't listen to, I think, our first episode, I do have some superstitions ingrained from my childhood. But this was ultimately a movie about like teenage girls getting killed by like a power-hungry coven. I think just all the throat slicing, I was just kind of bummed out the rest of the day. I don't know.
Too
Is
dark.
that
for
weird?
No.
No.
Thank you.
I don't know, because you're
You have nothing to say to that.
no.
I don't believe in the devil.
We're gonna have nothing
Hold
to
on.
say to that.
Well, nobody responded to what I was saying.
Oh, no, I don't know.
But I don't believe in like the devil and stuff like that. But I was just kind of like, I was just kind of bummed. It's a gloomy movie, right?
Yeah.
Dreary.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't every horror movie gloomy, kind of?
Not necessarily.
No.
Yeah, I guess not. But the majority. You
I
could
think
say the majority.
I think he's saying it speaks to like an actual evil in the world. Is that what you're saying? Because for me,
according to the movie, modern psychiatry has a lot to say about witchcraft.
oh my,
Yeah, that was
We're gonna have to talk about that.
I
think
wrote down
Lauren's got
I wrote down a quote by that Frank Mendel that he was
Is
like,
it the bad luck quote?
yes,
Yes, bring it.
Oh, he says, "Bad luck isn't brought by broken mirrors, but broken minds."
Yes.
Yes.
The other thing I loved about that scene is that Susie is sitting talking with the psychiatrist, and it just seems like there's a witch expert walking by. He's like, "You should talk to my friend. He's an expert in witchcraft. Here he is now."
Yeah.
And like the guy's standing right there, and he calls witchcraft an important appendage of contemporary psychiatry. which I actually Googled that phrase because I was like, I wonder if other people have made that connection. And there were websites, articles, and things talking about witchcraft, comparing it with the way we think of psychiatry. I didn't get into the details of it, but I thought it was very interesting. They almost like they were saying witchcraft is a psychiatric phenomenon, which I think. I mean, there's a lot of explanations for why people
Live forever.
do what they do.
I was watching at the end. I think I had. I forget how it would happen exactly. I think I had stepped away from I'd gone to the bathroom real quick, but the movie was playing in the next room. I could hear it and everything. When you first hear Helena's voice,
Yeah.
and I remember being like, it struck me as not scary, but being like, whoa, if I was like 10, I would remember this voice forever. Like,
Yeah,
just,
her voice was eerie.
it had this kind of creepy effect, that, not unlike the Regan in The Exorcist when she's possessed. Like this,
Like disconnects between.
Yeah. What's so weird about that scene when you finally do see her is that the scariest part of that scene is the reanimated
Yeah.
Sarah coming out of the
Oh, with the
Love that
pins in
scene.
her eyes.
like that was just like gross and like really scary. And I couldn't figure out why Susie is now turning to this like really shitty hologram type thing. And then I figured it out like when she stabbed her and that ended the curse.
maybe this is it. I thought the movie was really okay.
Are we still back at whether or not you liked it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gabe's verbally
We're calling
processing.
Gabe the hijacker from now on.
No.
But back to what I was thinking in my head.
The movie
That's
is
great, Gabe. Well,
the movie is really cool. If that sounds shallow, I don't know, but it has really cool imagery. I mean, cool deaths. I didn't feel down from it throughout the day. Like, I don't know, it was kind of like living in this like 70s vibe, like world and everything. And so yeah, like it's definitely something like I would love to go see in a theater if it was showing somewhere.
I would do that. I would go see it in
Yeah.
the theater.
For the fog, I would not.
Which
I would go
is,
see that.
well, I don't know if I should talk about this because I don't think we're done, but they are making a remake.
They are.
Did you guys
this
see that?
year. It says
No,
2015 online.
I think it said 2017 is when it's supposed to come out.
Okay.
Well, for a long time, I looked into the remake. For a long time, it was supposed to be made by David Gordon Green.
Who did?
right.
He did Pineapple Express, but then he also did some good movies too.
That's not a bad movie.
I don't like that movie. He did a movie called Joe with Nicolas Cage, which I liked a lot, and he did a movie called George Washington. Not a biopic of George Washington. It's contemporary. It's about some little kids, but really good director. He wrote a bunch of Eastbound and Down. But he since has been removed from it, and somebody else is supposed to make it now. And
It's Luca Guid. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Guadagnino.
an Italian, I'm assuming. Is it?
Good.
Yeah, he's done stuff. He did that movie I Am Love.
Okay,
it has
yeah.
like Tilda Swinton.
Uh-huh.
So Tilda Swinton's going to be in the remake, and
Sean Penn.
Dakota Johnson.
Oh no.
What?
No.
Is it unfair to say that Tilda Swinton is witchcrafty looking? Is that bad?
No, I think she.
Who's Tilda Swinton?
She was in Michael Clayton.
She's in Wes Anderson movies.
She's an amazing actress, but she has a look. She's definitely.
Well, she's kind of just a character actor, so she plays a lot of odd roles.
Red hair usually, very.
Very angular, like lithe.
She's a right triangle. That's what I'm saying.
But I was just thinking, like, I think my problem with this movie is it is definitely from the 70s.
Yeah.
And even though I think that the blood being bright red and, like, overly viscous was a choice, it also was like, oh, okay, that wasn't as creepy as it could have been.
Right.
And so I like the idea of, like, taking this whole movie and keeping the great elements of it and then sticking it into, like, I mean, I guess actually it says the director said he wants to keep it in the 70s.
Huh.
And then they're going to film it, or like it's going to be set in Berlin. But I would be totally down to watch that on the big screen for what Gabe was saying.
You mentioned Wes Anderson, talk about Tilda Swinton. I guess some of the parts did have that kind of Wes Anderson feel.
Yeah.
I think some of the sets, like a lot of detail, the prints. I mean, like
It's very Harold and Maude.
yeah. What's the hotel movie? Wes Anderson.
Shining?
Grand
Oh,
Budapest.
It kind of some of the shots felt like Grand
Yeah, it
Budapest
felt like
Hotel.
you were in a dollhouse.
Yeah.
Oh, you were saying that Tilda Swinton seems witchy. She did play the White Witch in Narnia.
Yes, she did.
So that might be it.
The scariest scene, of course, they end up in a polka bar for some reason at one point, and
No, it's Daniel after he gets fired.
yeah,
He's drinking his
When-
troubles
when
away.
When he gets fired, his only line is "You bitch!" and he walks out the door.
Oh, that was cruel though when
Yeah,
she
she
throws
was
his
terrible to him.
She
cane.
throws his cane. Yeah, it was. Yeah, they end up in a polka
Poor
bar,
Daniel.
and I thought, wow, this is what my ancestors have given civilization. Was, polka, whatever that dance was they were doing.
Your ancestors?
We're German.
Okay, but the
I
whole he was watching.
Isn't polka
He was
Polish?
seemingly watching them polka dance, but he's blind.
Right. Which
But
brings
he's a
in,
musician, he was there for
there
the
is a
music.
fan theory that Daniel's actually not blind.
You read that?
No, I'm just putting it out.
It's a fan theory now.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. Breaking news.
Have you guys seen that there's a YouTube video of, like, is Stevie Wonder blind? Because, like, I think it's Paul McCartney's playing and, like, drops a mic stand and Stevie Wonder just catches it.
I've never seen that.
Look it up on YouTube.
I'll say
It's a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
I was taking a class at it was a class in working with adults with disabilities, and they made us for a whole class session wear these glasses that were like covered up so you could experience being blind. And I asked if I could be sat down at a piano, and all I heard was the teacher yell, "Jonathan!" She got really upset that I said that.
Well, how do you, now that you know what it's like to be blind, John, tell us
Um,
about, that experience? Or,
I would still not enjoy polka music if I was blind.
right.
But Daniel, maybe that's his thing.
Maybe that's the only way to watch polka dancing.
Maybe
is
there's a
if you're
whole
blind.
backstory where like he's doing this piano for the ballet studio, but that secretly he wants to do polka
That's like
music.
he's like, I'm just paying the bills
Yeah.
till I get my polka band started.
I want to see that movie.
Yeah. I don't understand. Okay, I'll just back to the Coven. There's a scene where maggots fall from the ceiling.
Oh, yeah.
I wrote that down too.
And
Maggots.
first of all, it's disgusting because she's combing her hair and there's maggots, and then there's
Yeah.
just tons of maggots. And
I like
there's
that
this
part.
weird like video game music when she discovers the magnets, like
Oh, yeah, that
it's
was
like
awesome.
really strange.
Just out of nowhere.
I don't understand it feels like this coven just wants to fuck with people. Like it's the witchcraft equivalent of Jackass. It's like we're just gonna.
But they also don't want to be found out.
They don't even found out, but they do want to just make people's lives.
I don't think that
Miserable.
was intentional.
Yeah,
because
I would agree.
She acted like really angry when she's like, "Where are these coming from? We'll figure this out."
Well, let's follow. So the maggots occur. Let's see if this could lead to something. So the maggots are falling from the ceiling. Now all the girls have to be moved out of their dorms, and they're in the basketball
Yeah, I
court.
don't think that was to the Coven's benefit.
But what happened as a result of being in the basketball court?
They
that-
figured out. The girl figures out that the
The-
Black Queen is it Black Queen? I keep saying that, but the Witch Queen,
Yeah.
Helena. That's when she figures out that
The teachers
the
don't.
teachers don't leave the school at night, and that she recognizes the snoring.
Yeah.
So it's odd because you would think like from a writing standpoint, something kind of supernatural occurred. The people we're putting all supernatural things on are the witches.
Uh-huh.
So
But I don't think they actually caused the maggots.
you think it was almost like this is an unholy place
There
where
was a
things
box, I
rot and
believe,
die?
with
Rotting.
was it a dead
I
body.
mean, does
or-
it need
No,
more
it was
of an
rotting
explanation
What was the
than
box?
just-
No, the maggots came from a box. That's
It
right.
was
It was
rotting
fruit.
meat. Oh, fruit?
They left fruit up there,
Yeah, she talks about how they order fruit, produce.
and it went bad. That was a lot of maggots.
Do maggots feed off of fruit?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Flies
Oh.
lay maggots. They're baby flies, right?
I found maggots in pistachios.
I mean, I don't think it's anything more than just
Ew.
like
In a jar of
a
pistachios.
gross out scene for the
Josh is
horror
talking.
film, and then it helps move the plot along to help them figure out that the directress, as they call her,
I mean,
on campus.
I could see Dario Argento saying, "We got to have maggots." That's gross, and just like throwing it in there to add to the grossness of the movie.
Yeah.
Right?
No way.
You don't
Okay.
think so? You don't think
I don't know
directors
Dario Argento, but I think
You don't?
I think that do a lot of things to get maggots in your film, but write them into like this makes sense. And I feel like it was just two possibilities. One is that there was fruit that got rotten, and that's that. But that was a lot of maggots to be raining from the ceilings in every room of the dorm
of that one floor.
for one box of fruit. Like, I think they brought in maggots beforehand, possibly, or this is just an unholy place where things are dying. What do you associate maggots with? Dead bodies. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's probably, or I kind of just, I mean, I didn't like think too much about it, but I was thinking it's just like surplus bad energy causing all these maggots. Because obviously it was way too many maggots for that one box.
And the head woman, she could have been acting, but she did seem upset.
Yeah, so they didn't cause it. But
And as we pointed out now, as a result of them being, I thought maybe if I couldn't really recall, but if they moved to the dormitory and then maybe you got murdered or something, then it would make sense that they caused this to cause that. But it seems like what going into the dormitory led to their ultimate downfall.
It
You mean
did.
the communal room, the big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So it does move the plot along, but we disagree on why there would be maggots there. I think it's just because Dario Argento thought maggots in your hair are one of the scariest things I can imagine.
Now, John, growing up together, we looked at film together, and there was always this understanding of films that nothing is accidental.
Yeah.
That's almost your cornerstone, is that you know everything comes from something, because when you start making a film, you're going to decorate an empty room. Okay, well, what should go where? And down to the color of drapes and stuff, everything means something, right? Even if it's just to look normal.
I don't think we should base our theory of this movie on me taking a film class as a senior in high school.
I think what you're saying sounds kind of funny, but come on. I think that, I think it does make sense. Like, I don't know. I've done some minor, just toying around with making a film or making a play, and, you have to consider everything. So, I don't know. Any director worth a damn is not going to just bullshit. I really want maggots. Let's just throw that in. A movie's worth too much.
I don't think he just throws it in, though, but it does add to...
You have to answer to a studio. What's with this? Why are we paying for tons of maggots? And, I really want that. Well, that's not a big enough reason.
Maybe he did have a reason, and maybe it just didn't get, communicated properly. He was like, oh, this will make sense to the viewer, and it doesn't really. But, yeah.
I liked it.
I liked it.
I liked the maggots, too.
Yeah, it was cool.
It was cool, so that's a reason.
Yeah.
All right.
The one thing that bummed me out was how easily the head witch was defeated.
Yeah, I was bummed out by that,
Stabbed through
too.
the virtual throat?
Yeah, it's just...
By a stick? Or was it a knife?
It was actually the quill from that...
From that
Glass
peacock.
Peacock, which is a reference to one of his other films that he directed.
Oh. That makes
the
sense.
title is literally a peacock with a glass plume or something like that.
Because they kept focusing on the peacock, and I'm like, what does the peacock have to do with anything?
Yeah, but so you have all this evil, and this witch is, I don't know, hundreds of years old and supposed to be all powerful, and then it's just you see her outline, stab her, and that's the end of her. That kind of bums me out.
Well, this is a segment that we don't need to have in every podcast, but we might want in this one. Is there anything for all of you that we would change in this film that would enhance it in some way, whether it be plotline, whether it be less maggots with more justification, or what have you? Anything jump out at us as something we'd like?
I want a witch battle at the end. Not necessarily between witches, but
You want a good witch? Glenda?
I wanted
Witch
to
of the
see
North?
more of a display of power from the head witch.
Yeah, it's always disappointing when.
Yeah, but I disagree only because to me, movies with witches become stupid when it's they're flying through the air or they're doing magic. To me, the scary thing about a coven is that it's underground. You don't see it. Weird things are happening for no reason. That's what makes it truly terrifying.
So you're telling Josh that his wish is dumb.
What you want is...
I'm also not saying I want flying witches shooting fire out of sticks.
He likes Harry Potter.
I'm just... It was over too quickly, like, I don't know.
I agree. And then what happened to the coven, really? Like, you don't...
They burned.
Because he killed Helena?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whole
they
thing burned out.
mentioned earlier in the film how... I think
The
it's that
psychologist.
expert on
Yeah.
witchcraft talks about how a coven is like a cobra. If you cut off the head, then it's powerless. So
Yeah.
they kind of show like the dance school burning as
Right.
she's leaving, and like things are exploding around her. But
It was kind of a happy ending. She's smiling in the rain.
yeah, she is. She's like, oh,
She's
yeah,
like
this is-
wiping her hair from her
They
face.
should have had her dancing in the rain, I thought.
yeah.
Okay, there was no dancing in this film.
There
Right.
was.
Yeah.
Barely
Yeah.
any. It's supposed to be like a rigorous, prestigious dance academy. You don't see. They're always just like chatting,
Treating
talking.
each other like shit. Like,
Yeah.
just like hating on each other the whole time.
Well, is there any final thoughts we'd like to put out there before we pick our movie for next week?
I really liked that this film passes the Bechdel test.
Why don't you tell us what the Bechdel test is?
The Bechdel test is when you go through a movie and there has to be two women characters who talk to each other, have names, and talk to each other about anything other than a man. So it was nice. I was a little bit like the beautiful girls dying in like really horrific, over-the-top ways was a little like porn gore-y. But at the same time, the majority of the characters were women.
Right.
And like there was no romance, like no sex, no nudity. So even though the women were like super pathetic when they were running away from this demon, like it was actually pretty empowering. So I liked that aspect.
Right.
Let's see. I'm interested to see if the remake kind of maintains that idea. Really?
It's going to have Channing Tatum in it, I would say.
As a blind guy?
The blind Daniel,
Daniel?
the blind piano player with a huge penis, Channing Tatum.
Well, that was Suspiria. Thank you, Josh, for your pick.
It
Yeah.
was a good one.
Yeah.
I think arguably our best film yet.
Actually, I wanted to say, after, like, recording the first two and, like, getting all of our stuff put up on the internet and stuff, I started to feel like, man, I really like these movies, like, more than I thought I did. Like, they're kind of like,
Horror films in general, or just this?
no, I'm specifically Hatchet and The Fog. Like, I don't know, I feel like they're, like, friends that you don't necessarily like, but you keep around. Do you know what I'm
Now I
trying
know
to say?
exactly what you're talking about. It's why you're here.
Is it because like
I don't know, I think I care more now about those films, even though at the time I was like Hatchet, I would never watch again. But now I'm like, Hatchet.
There's a place in your heart for it? For
Little Victor Crowley.
Victor Crowley?
Gruel.
Little Victor Crowley.
we know
I think the more you analyze something, the more like interesting it becomes to you, even if you don't necessarily like it.
Well, back to our high school film class, Mr. Lindsley, great high school teacher for Gabe and I, used to say that when you leave a movie theater, your next stop should be a coffee shop or an ice cream shop or somewhere where you could sit and talk about that movie. And I do think that talking about these movies brings out some of the things that would go unsaid or unnoticed. Or I do think there's something about I think there's something about watching a movie and then being able to talk about it with another person that.
Oh, guys.
That's enough of that. I'm just kidding.
So, Lauren,
You're right.
Yes.
what are we watching next week, and then we'll get all of our reactions. Tell us what we're watching and why.
Okay. I had a hard time choosing, but I ended up choosing The Babadook because I know I've heard a lot of things about it, and it's also one of those horror movies. It's actually came out last year, but it's one of those. It's already made a bunch of lists for best horror movies of all time, and it just kind of looks creepy. And I also really want to scare John after the first.
Definitely gonna need some lozenges for this one. Now, my first reaction to the Babadook is I'm nervous to watch it because the story amongst us and our friends is that our good friend John Whitney, who looks kind of like a badass.
Hi, Jono.
He only looks, though. Is that what you're saying?
He's the biggest softie ever, but he had to stop watching this one night and then pick it up the next morning because he was too scared in the dark or something like that.
That's what I recall.
And then Josh watched it and disagreed. Like, why? What's your problem?
You've already seen it?
Yeah, I've already seen it.
This movie has been on my Netflix must-watch list for 6 months maybe, and I don't watch it because of that story from John where he said he had to stop it halfway, and I'm like, how scary could it be? So
the other film,
I'm nervous, I'm not gonna lie.
The other film that I've heard a similar story was a friend of ours growing up, John, had watched Blair Witch, which I haven't yet to see, and said he watched it during the day because he didn't think he'd be scared, and I watched it during the day, and I'm terrified right now.
Yeah.
So we'll have to cross that
That's a
bridge
good
one
test, like whether a movie is still scary when you watch it during the day.
So, Josh, as a guy that watched this, do you think this is a good film for us to cover?
Yeah.
Does it deliver the way people... Does it belong on these lists?
I'll talk about it when we talk about it.
All right.
How scared do you think John's going to be?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't...
John, what's your reaction?
I've wanted to watch it. I've heard it's great. I have seen it on those lists, the best movies of the last 10 years and all that. It's going to be scary though, I'm sure. So we'll see.
Well, to finish up, just going over some business, we have a sponsor this week.
Yeah,
That's right. Are you in a band that is looking for someone to design a cool new concert poster or maybe a new t-shirt design? Well, then look no further. BoneDust.net is the place for you.
Fuck, Gabe?
Go to BoneDust.net and see a number of different products, from t-shirts and pins
This
to posters
was
and
not
flyers.
a sanctioned sponsorship.
Need a fresh design for your latest project?
We're cutting this out.
The folks at
end.
BoneDust.net would love to hear about it.
You actually wrote all this out.
They'll work within your budget to deliver the goods that you need.